Mastamkele kwakho kwinkqubo yethu iVob Voice of the Bay with Percy M. Good evening and welcome to your favorite talk show on channel 260. That is your Mpomakapa TV. Tonight I'm hosting the Chief Whip of the African National Congress and the former Executive Mayor who is currently a Councillor of Democratic Alliance, Councillor Retief Odendaal, and ANC Chief Whip Wara or Wadisile Chikeka. Guys, good evening and welcome. Once again, in our show, I will also be hosting in our last two segments, the former Executive Mayor, Councillor Ben Fiedler, who will be launching his book next week, Monday. We'll talk more about his book. It's so interesting. But for now, let's start our panel discussion with my guest, Councillor Retief Odendaal and Councillor Wara Chikeka, who is the Chief Whip of the ANC. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Percy.
Good evening, Percy. Thank you for inviting us in the Voice of the Bay.
Last week, our current Executive Mayor, Councillor Gary van der Kerk, has presented his 100 days in office. That gives this picture of the municipality and the progress that has been done on service delivery related matters. But before we talk about that, Councillor Gary van der Kerk has put it clear last week that you, Councillor Retief Odendaal, when you were a mayor, you didn't report your 100 days in office. Is that true?
Well, I want to make it very clear that there's nothing in government that states that you must have a 100-day plan. It is something that is done by the ANC in governments where they are. So if Mr. Gary van der Kerk wants to present an ANC plan, he's more than welcome to do so. We had a turnaround plan for Nelson Mandela Bay, and we regularly gave stats on our achievements throughout the period. I did that on the municipalities' platforms as well as my own platform, and I think that a lot of people would say that we were very transparent in government.
So, Councillor Retief Odendaal, you don't owe any report to the residents of the Nelson Mandela?
No, absolutely not, because our proof was in the pudding. Our residents could actually see delivery where they were going across all communities. Don't get me wrong, the municipality was also very broken when we were there, but we were making progress. And we were delivering services in each and every community. Currently, we've got a backlog of nearly 20,000 potholes in the city, 15,000 streetlights, and more than 5,000 sewage blockages. Our city is covered in sewer, no matter where you go, in my own street, or down the road to an informal settlement. It is just a blatant picture that the current government can't deliver, and Mr. Gary van der Kerk, unfortunately, is an abject failure. I don't know what services he talks about, what delivery he talks about, but it's certainly not in Nelson Mandela Bay. Maybe it's out there at Blowkrans where he went for a bridge jump the other day.
You are the one who is overseeing everything that is happening in terms of service delivery amongst your coalition partners. Last week, the Executive Mayor was with me in this show. One of the things that he mentioned is that as from May, when he took office, you have done a lot of work. As a result, he gave himself a score, or he gave you a score of 6.5 out of 10. Take us through on that score.
Well, once more, Percy, thank you for giving us a platform. I think, Percy, the premise that the mayor gave the 6.5 points is the fact that some of the deliverables are a moving target. You will have 5,000 blockages, but your capacity allows you to deal with 2,500. It means that in the next month, you will have a backlog of what you need to chase. So the ambition was to cover every blockage that is there, but the reality on the ground, you are unable to do everything at a go. So I think also not to be over ambitious to give high numbers because people are there. They see that some of the things are not happening as they would wish that they would happen. So I think 6.5 is justified.
Your response on that 6.5?
Percy, I think it's a slap in the face of the people of Nelson Mandela Bay. People know that there's no delivery currently. Do you know that the capital expenditure, the capital expenditure at the end of the first quarter was sitting at 3.5%? The capital expenditure, all projects have come to a grinding halt. Our grant funding expenditure is standing at about 2.5% at the end of the first quarter. It's not me saying there's no delivery. All the projects have come to a grinding halt. If you look at the statistics, if you look at what our road infrastructure look like, if you look at our turnaround time in trying to fix basic things such as streetlights, our communities are absolutely dark. It is not us saying, it's not me saying that there's no delivery, it's the people on the ground. It is a reality that the ANC have got no control over this government because they've put a person there that has got no interest in delivering services to anyone in the city. He only cares about himself and his own ego. He doesn't even have a party that he's accountable to because he stole his own party from underneath his membership. So the reality is that we're sitting here with a city that's dysfunctional and on the brink of collapse with absolutely no services. And you can go and interview each and every person out there in communities and across Nelson Mandela Bay, all communities, from Summerstrand to Motherwell, to Rosedale, to Langa, to KwaNobuhle. For weeks at end, some of our communities are sitting without water or electricity, and nothing is being done because this government is not caring about the people out there. And the reality is that the ANC has got no control over it. They've given away all of the service delivery portfolios, electricity, water and sanitation, roads. They've got no control over this government, and they are the foundation of this government because it was established.
Your response, Councillor Jigeka, because now we are talking about service delivery and the state of the municipality, and yet you are the one who is in charge as a chief whip.
Well, about Percy, Councillor Odendal is aware that at the beginning of the financial year, the National Treasury withheld all our grants, and that had hampered our ability to deliver things on time. Some of the grants were released 2 months after we're supposed to have spent them, and that is affecting the spending in terms of where are we in terms of spending. But in terms of bringing services to the people, there is plan in place, and I know that the money that is available now, we will push that all of it be utilized. Because of the 2-3 months delay, the money that won't be able to utilize will ask for a rollover so that we bring all the services that are needed to our people.
Councillors, we will go for a commercial break. I'm very much interested to that 6.5. How did you arrive there? Whilst you had a backlog, again, your money was withheld by the Treasury. You need to explain to the viewers of this show about that arrival to that 6.5. We'll go for a commercial ad break and continue with our discussion. So we look at Namkele. Good evening and welcome once again to your talk show on Channel 260. That is your Omakapa TV. Once again, good evening. Chief Whip, please take us through. How did you arrive on that 6.5? Now that we have also mentioned that there are certain things that blocked or that became a threat into your plan of dishing out service delivery.
Well, about Percy, you'd remember that the mayor outlined priorities in the 100 days, and we've assumed a power just before the end of the term. So there were things that were delivered between May and the end of the financial year, And if I may mention a few, the issue of the revenue collection was at the lowest because the tariff, I mean the tariff that the Part B, the Part D that was there was making the municipality not to be able to collect enough revenue. Then we reduced it to Part C. Then at least there was a breather in terms of making sure that we improvise in terms of revenue collection. Also, would perceive the issue of housing delivery. The metro, over a period of time, the function was not with the metro, but we ensured that in the short space of time, we delivered about 511 houses. And the community of Ward 40 has been crying that they want houses, to the extent that some even invaded land. In the time period that we're in office, we have managed to purchase a parcel of land so that services can be put in place and houses can be built for those people. Those are the things. Those are some of the things, that I can highlight that made us not to say we have achieved all, but there are things that we have done. If the Treasury didn't withhold budget, would have been able to move swiftly or to maintain the pace within which we're moving with.
So, is there any hope?
Well, the good thing was plans were in place. When the money was released, it was not released to people that didn't have plans for procurement.
But what are you planning to do from now on in terms of service delivery?
Well, we plan the electrification of informal settlement, the tarring of the roads, and the bringing water to where water is not. Also, the issue of the lights, because the issue of the lights is synonymous now to the water leaks, because you fix this light today, 2 days down the line, that light is broken again. And in the eyes of the community, you might not see that that light was fixed. You will think that that light was not fixed. So we are planning to make sure that there is lights. If you remember, there is a pilot project that is there for high mass, because this issue of the electricity, really, it's a moving target. It needs everyone to put their hands on the deck to make sure that those that continues to steal our cable, those that continues to make sure that we stay in the dark, they are being arrested, they are being taken out of the society, so that our infrastructure is not vandalized in the manner in which it is.
Councillor Odendaal, some of the challenges that are mentioned by the Chief Whip, seemingly you also experienced these challenges.
But Percy, Councillor Jokeka has just mentioned two things that they delivered. He spoke about changing the tariff to have a better collection rate. We did that. The 500 houses that were built happened during our term of office last year. So the reality is that I want us to be honest here. This city, under the governance of Mayor Gary van Niekerk, is going to go nowhere because he's not accountable to anyone. He gives himself 6.5.
Is that true, Chief Whip?
No, I don't agree with Councillor Odendaal, because when you are out of office, you are unable to do things that are done by people who are in office. You can plan and pass a budget, but anyone who can come and implement that budget is the one that is going to account for things that had happened using the same budget that you were responsible for. Same applies with them. When they assume power after we've just passed the budget.
Okay.
But the things that they have done with that budget, we cannot come and say,
let's give him a chance.
So let's use that as an example. We took office at the end of September 2022. And again, the capital budget spend at that stage was standing at 2%. Yet, at the end of the financial year, because of the measures that we implemented, we achieved one of the highest grant funding spends in 4 years in the city. The reality here, Percy, is that we have seen a decline in the metro over the last couple of months. Yet again, we're back to square one. All of the progress that we've made a couple of months last year and the beginning of this year has been made undone by a person that is facilitating state capture, by bringing a an official that was given a golden handshake because of some serious charges that he was faced with, which we couldn't sort out. He brought him back to the MBDA. That MBDA now is rogue. It's not even operating properly because it haven't got any money. But that's just one example. Look at the IPTS buses. The IPTS buses is standing still. National Treasury is going to pull the plug on that program because it's not working. Hasn't been operating for 6 weeks. The poor people that is dependent on those buses can't ride them because they are not in operation at the moment.
Just before we go for a commercial break, both of you were in power, but why are you failing, or why did you fail, Councillor Odendaal and you, Chief Whip, in terms of resolving the suspensions of the EDs in this municipality?
I'll go first. The reality is, when you've got suspended officials, very often they try and do everything in their ability to drag it out. Why would they not? Because they all get about 150 to 180,000 rand per month in salary. So they try every trick in the book. We've seen with former ED Anele Klaba how long that process took. It took 8 months to get to a disciplinary report in a botched up process that had to be restarted from scratch again. And that is why it was settled. And then the current administration, headed up by Mr. Gary van Niekerk, goes and appoints him to an even more senior position. That is state capture. We've made the links between the executive mayor, who, by the way, now also faces some serious fraud and corruption charges. Firstly, I want to tell you that I've known each and every mayor in this city post-1994. They were all honourable and women and men.
Councillor Odendaal,
Mr. Gary van Niekerk is not an honourable man.
Let's just put a pause and then we will continue our discussion after the last ad break in our segments. Let's go once again for a commercial ad break. Sibulise kwakho sinamkele kwi inkqubo yethu iVOB Voice of the Bay with Percy M. Good evening once again and welcome to our show that is Voice of the Bay. Guys, for the last time, good evening. We were talking about the solutions in terms of resolving some of the challenges that are facing this municipality, especially the issue of suspensions. There's a lot of money that you are paying these suspended officials, and yet you are still struggling to get solutions or to come up with better results.
Well, I think, Percy...
Before we go for a commercial ad break, you were presenting yourself.
Unfortunately, it is. People, as an attorney, I can tell you that people try and drag out these cases. There are a number of officials which remains on suspension simply because of the legal processes that ensues, and they're playing a game with us. It is not that easy. You can't just fire somebody or reinstate somebody if there's serious charges that they face. So unfortunately, it remains something that is a problem, not here in Nelson, just in Nelson Bay, but in other metro municipalities as well. But the problem with EDs is one that is that needs to be highlighted. In March this year, we commenced, the former coalition commenced with a process whereby we wanted to appoint 5 new EDs. That process have come to a grinding halt. Where are we now? We 8 months later, towards the end of the year, and that process has just been left. We could have had all those EDs appointed. The reality is we can see the city stopping and starting. It starts when the DA and its coalition partners takes over, and it stops when the ANC and their partners takes over. In this case, the ANC, and I almost feel sorry for them, have got no control because they don't have a single service delivery portfolio. But they facilitated this coalition. They put these individuals there that are unfit to govern. And the reality is that we are all suffering.
Chief Whip?
Well put, Percy. The labor laws of the land really made it virtually impossible to summarily dismiss someone without a fair hearing. Also, these EDs are senior managers who know their rights very well. One can just submit a sick note and the hearing will be postponed. The next thing will come with other technicalities to deal with. So really, the solution needs to be found nationally. It's not only the method thing, as Councillor Odendal is saying, that the issue of it is really, we have no ready-made solution how to make processes shorter.
Another thing that we are very much interested this afternoon, Minister Enoch Godongwana has tabled his medium-term budget. In the issue of municipalities, there are some municipalities that were granted some relief for ESCOM money that they owe. How far are we as the municipality in terms of owing ESCOM? Because about 67 applications, out of 67 applications, only 28 applications that were approved by the budget and treasurer. How far are we as the municipality?
Well, I would say we are not part of the bad payers. The Nelson Mandela Bay is one of...
So we don't owe...
We don't owe a cent.
We don't owe
We don't owe a cent.
No, not a cent.
But why it is so difficult for these two parties, because both of you in the council chambers, out of 120, you've got 48 seats. Why do you find so difficult for both of you to lead this municipality?
Well, Percy, from our side, I just want to say we've proven that even with the same coalition partners, we can make a difference. The ANC, I think, must unfortunately finds it difficult to work in a coalition government. And I know that...
Are you prepared to work with the ANC?
No, we're not prepared to work with the ANC.
Are you prepared to work with the Democratic Alliance?
Because the city's collapse have come as a result of the ANC.
Well, I would Percy,
Are you prepared to work with the Democratic Alliance to form a coalition government?
We have tried to amend Section 12 so as to make sure that parties that were given a resounding mandate work together in delivering services. But the Democratic Alliance blocked that process, and that process is still in front of the courts.
Why you find so difficult to work with the ANC?
Well, because that specific process, the Section 12 process, was flawed. There was a flawed process was followed, and we can't allow a flawed process to
Councillor
be put down
Odendan,
on.
let's put aside Section 12. Just the two of you, you come up with a coalition. You've got 48 seats, and the ANC is having the same
But Percy, why should we give the ANC a lifeline? We can see that we're on our way to a national government where the ANC is probably going to get under 50% and will need a coalition to stay in control, or might lose the national government because another coalition government will take it over.
No,
why should we give them a lifeline in Nelson Mandela Bay when
I'm
they've
talking
proven
about this
every time that they take over here, they mess up the city? Look at who they've put in control of the city. Somebody that doesn't care about the residents of Nelson Mandela Bay. I will tell you now, and mark my words, because of that decision to put somebody there that is unfit to govern, we are going to take over the city, and we're going to take it over in a majority government. We're going to wipe the floor with the ANC.
When are you going to take
over? In 2026. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put up my hand to be a mayor of the city again, because we've seen that the ANC will not put the interests of the city first. They're not even prepared to govern the city. That's why they put a minority party up as a mayor of the city. That's how much they care about our community.
We are running out of time. Thank you very much for making time, Chief Whip, and you, Councillor Odendan.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Professor.
Nkosi kakhulu ngokuba kunye nathi kwinkqubo yethu iVOB Voice of the Bay. Siyanamkela ngalolu thuba samkela lo wayifudula engusodolophu kumasipala Dombaxa kubaningi enguye kaloku umhlekazi uNkosinathi Benson Fihla. Masikwamkele Ompel. Molo Ompel.
Ndiyabulisa sana.
Ompel, kuyaphawuleka into yokokuba kukho kukho incwadi yakho oza kuyizisa ebantwini uzayilontsha kwiveki ezayo nge-6 incwadi yona ethi The Urban Guerrilla Who Danced to Freedom. Khawusithele gqabagqaba ngale ncwadi ngoba ke kuyaphawuleka kule ncwadi ubalisa izinto eziliqela ngawe ukusebenza kwakho njenge-liberation movement activist ngexesha le-defiance activities or defiance campaign kanti kwakhona ubalisa kwaphaya nangendlela waqeqeshwa ngayo kwidabi lomzabalazo.
That's right.
Uphinde kwakho ubalise ngomba we-urban guerrilla warfare.
That's right.
Uphinde kwakho ubalise ngendima edlalwe ngabantu abatsha kwinkululeko yeli lizwe.
That's right.
Okokugqibela ubomi baseRobben Island. Khawusithele gqabagqaba ngezahluka ii-chapters apha kule ncwadi inika umdla kakhulu incwadi oza nayo.
Firstly, idabi lase-South Africa sorry, lidabi ebelinzima kuba lidabi elilwa phakathi kwabantu lelwa eStown. Asilwi emahlathini sizimele amahlathi, sizimela ngabantu. Now akunawuzimela ngabantu ke xa ungakhange bapoliticize abantu bakwamkele bakwazi into yoba bakufihle bakwazi into yoba umove around nawe phakathi kwabo. Now bubunzima baloko eli dabi. Now zawuqala uqala ekubanjweni kwam mhlawumbi ke ndizayiqhaka phakathi nje
ngo-1964 63
ndibanjwa phaya sibanjelwa ii-activities zethu ze-underground. Ekubanjweni wethu sibanjwa kudityaniswana lamakhomrade ndikunye nalamakhomrade ovuyisile emini others were together.
Yes.
Kuthiwe C29 kuthiwe apho kuni kukho i-fingerprints of accused one. U-accused one ndim. Okay, mayiphinde ndibuye kancinci. Besinegqwetha apha kuthiwa nguMelaski. It was the best lawyer apha eBhayi. Eli gqwetha on the last minutes lasilahla.
Isizathu
Xa sicinga sithi laharaswa i-security kakhulu.
okay.
La retreata. Ekubeni selisixelele into yoba some of you are going to be sentenced to death. Ndithi ke kulo, how can you leave us on the ledge like that when you have already told us ukuthi abanye bethu bazawugqwetha indawo? Sizawufumana bani ke because you are the best lawyer apha. As what no, I'm leaving the country, all that. Komba ke uharaswe security. Now, ndathi ke kuma-comrade, safumana elinye igqwetha kuthiwa nguRandall laseRhini, Xekwana. Lathi kuthi ukho ne-fingerprints ezikhoyo zabanye. And one person one-fingerprints zakhe apha ngu-accused one. U-accused one yayindim. Ndithi ke kuye okay. A comrade, silahlekelwe ligqwetha elona powerful eBhayi. We have to get another lawyer. Safumana ke kuthiwa nguRandall. uRandall uye wabonakalisa ukuba uweak. Is an old lawyer saying that comment yam, hey, my comrade, will have to defend ourselves.
Masibamba apho Omben. Omben uhleli iminyaka lishumi elinesine 14 years eRobben Island.
That's right.
Wagwetywa 24 years.
That's right.
Zezinye zezinto eziphambili kule ncwadi.
Okay.
Kwakhona wanobuchule bokwenza ibombs, iziqhushumbisi.
Okay.
Wena.
Okay.
Zezinye zezinto ezo owawuleqelwa zona urhulumente obandlululo.
That's right.
Ezinye zezinto ezinika umdla eziphawulekayo apha. Ebusuku kuthiwa wayi-ballroom dance.
Okay.
Emini wawusebenza ebhankini ucoca ibhanki.
Okay.
Yayindlela wawuzabalangisa ngayo le.
Now, firstly, ndaye security zandivalela kwinto ezininzi. Kwacaca into yoba mandingene kakhulu kwi-politics.
Okay.
Because
Zakunika ithuba kwakho lokuba uphinde uphendule kwimibuzo xa sibuya kwakhona evenkileni. Tata uBenson Fihla kulo unyaka uneminyaka engama-92 92 yeminyaka. Ukhumbule ke kwiveki ezayo uya kube elaunch incwadi yakhe ethi The Urban Guerrilla Who Danced to Freedom. Sibaleke sengasevenkileni siqole siqokumbela imicimbi yethu emveni kwevenkile. Sesibuyela ke kwinkqubo yethu siqola siqokumbela kwakunye naye utata uNkosinathi Benson Fihla iminyaka yakhe ingama-92 yeminyaka. Tata Fihla, ndiqinisekile kule mizuzu ingephi ungasithela qabaqaba ngomshosha phansi underground.
Yeah. Firstly, mandibonise ukuthi kwanyanzeleka into yoba sisete izi-structures ze-underground. Now, kwi-structures ze-underground kwabakho i-high command controller the whole Eastern Cape. Then kwakho i-structure sokwenza ii-bombs. That is yayindim ngomgovu Harold Strahan. These three were making bombs. We had to be trained on how to make bombs. Now, we're answerable with the structure. Now, kwakho ngoku i-structure ke kwizilokishi zonke structure of about 4 comrades, right through. Now, nama-comrade ke aselanto ase-Mamonti, ase-Ntoni, they came to us for training for underground. So our trainer, kwathi bheke phaa ema-Transkei aze nawo trainer bheke phaa. Now, esi structure ke kwakumanyashe kwakusenziwa ibhombu sahamba sotreyinwa eRhawutini, trainer sabuya. You know, manufacture the bombs, zinikwe kwiland kwi-units apha zee-branches zonke. Dilivarishe zizo ezawubona i-target bayiphi na. Now, uyawuphawula into yoba originally sasingabulali abantu, but we're dealing with the buildings, all that, the structures. Yeah. It was for that reason ekwa-comrade agwetywa intanga. Egwetyelwa kuba kubekho umntu obeyi-informer, they killed, bambulala bona. So they were sentenced to death. Ndasinda nam kancinci phaa kweso structure, naphantsi ndafaka kuso. Now, esi structure ke sa-operator i-60s. So saqala nge-70s. saqhubeka i-60s and i-60s 70s i-60s sathi sabanjwa ke ne sabuya sathi sobuya nawe into ke ephawulekayo sanotice into yoba the best thing makubekhe mass mobilization in the township so that abantu, because sizawulwa i-urban guerrilla warfare as down. Now it means asikho emahlathini kwi-jungle, that is classical guerrilla warfare. Sizawulwa phakathi kwabantu, meaning into yoba we must mobilize. Now EPE was the most mobilized part of the country, the whole country, to the most mobilized area. And they are resulting in youth, it was very militant as a result of that. And there were many of them. It's about mobilizer. Sikwazi usebenza nabo, sikwazi ukubathuma, ukubanikwe imipu, noma umuntu unikwe umpu ngakana nahlale awufihle and all that. So operate ngaloo ndlela. But ultimately kwabanjwa amakomiti ye-Transkei ezotreyina. Abebanjwela amakomredi ampimpa.
Masibamba apho umpeni. Ndiqinisekile kwi-launch yakho yeveki ezayo ngomvulo 6 kulapho abantu bayozibuzela khona imicimbi liqele singenawukwazi uyibuza yonke apha. Kodwa ke masibulele sibambe ngazo zozibini umpeni. Ndiqinisekile nencwadi yakho The Urban Guerrilla Who Danced to Freedom. Kubani lo?
Sephithi into yoba lento you dance mhlawumbi ngahinti ngayo because I was a champion dancer.
Ballroom dancer.
Ballroom dancer, that is very, very good kuyo. Kangangoba I would have gone up, dancing you can win and
Ndiqinisekile kwi-book launch yakho next week uzababonisa umjuxuzo wakho indlela odansa ngayo. Kodwa ke masibulele sibambe ngazo zibini ndiqinisekile abantu abaninzi bayakuva ngeenkcukacha neholo ukuba izawuba ibanjelwe phina i-book launch le. Kodwa ke ndiqinisekile ompeni yaba lusuku olumnandi kakhulu kuwe olo.
That's right.
Siyabulela ngexesha osinikelo.
Enkosi kakhulu ndiyabulela nami.
Kulo wayifudula ekwanguye usodolophu kulo masipalato Mbaxa kaMandela. Utata uSnati Benson Fihla kulo unyaka ndithi ona 92 yeminyaka. Sibulele kuni nonke nje emakhaya ngokuba kunye nathi kwinkqubo yethu iVob Voice of the Bay. Igama lam ngumzukisi Percival Namani Percy M. Sibuye sibonane kwakhona kusukula ngomso between 6 and 9 kwinkqubela FM kwi-KGFM Talk Show. Busuku benzolo. Adios, amigos. God bless.